Okay, guys, and we're back.
We're here. It's the month of love.
Month of love.
Look at our cutie little sign.
Our sign is really, really cute.
Love it.
I love it.
Love it.
It's really precious. Target. Shout out always.
It's super fancy.
Yeah, really fancy.
Called Target.
Yeah, and I think, we haven't been in studio here in a while.
We last shot in Wellington, which was incredible.
So crazy.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about our goals for 2026.
Yep.
And my goal and our goal is to travel.
Yes.
Podcasting, traveling.
Yes.
And meet you guys at the horse shows, kind of meet our amateur population.
Yes.
Population?
Yeah. Our audience.
Our audience.
Community.
Our community, and kind of get you guys on the show,
Yeah.
talk about some good topics and really just engage you guys. So we're back.
We're back, and it's going to be a good year. It's been a little bit of a tough year for me thus far. I did break my ankle.
Yeah.
So I went into 2026 with that, but it's fine. Wellington was really tough for me.
Yeah, so I was having an absolute blast. And meanwhile, this broken leg chick over here with her, she's got this she doesn't have it now.
I don't have it now.
She had this peg leg thing that she had to it was like a crutch, but just for one leg kind of situation. It's hard to explain, but it was like a pirate leg. Yeah. Anyways, it was an experience, but she didn't get to walk around much at Wellington and see the sights and really kind of explore. And meanwhile, I was bye, and I was probably not the best friend because I went and definitely explored.
No, I mean it's good.
Yeah, we're gonna be back in March.
Yeah,
and she's gonna be bootless and free, and then we're just gonna go and see it all.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited. I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
So today's topic is going to be a little bit of a triggering one.
Yeah, it's kind of a hot topic.
And everybody's going to have I don't think anyone's going to have necessarily differing opinions about it, because I think across the board, it's all bad.
Yeah.
But I think that we just need to talk about it, because I feel like it's definitely something that has been brought up so mmany times, and you and I talk about it personally so much.
Yeah.
So the topic of drugging horses.
Yeah. Drugging horses, specifically drugging horses for performance. I mean, there's a lot of drugging horses, right?
Yeah.
All over different sports, different disciplines, drug for different reasons, for medical reasons or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're talking drug for performance, especially in the amateur kind of sector of the equestrian world. I think that we do a lot of wanting our horses to be kind of this perfect look in the ring, behave perfectly, not twitch an ear, not swish a tail for our amateurs.
Yeah.
And I think as amateurs, we really need to be the advocates for our horses.
Yeah.
So,
and I think we could start just talking about our experiences with showing and kind of how that's developed over the years. And I think, because I know that as a junior and as a young amateur, I didn't really show that much. You had a much more lively junior career.
Lively
Junior career. And so horse showing, what it looked like 10 years ago versus what it looks now is so different.
So different.
And I think you can't talk about that or talk about this topic without talking about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be a whole section or a whole episode in and of itself, because I think we talked about that with Cheryl.
Yeah, horses have changed so much.
Yeah, it's
much.
It's incredible. So, and I think mostly for the good, but I think with that added pressure and that that elevation of the sport comes with more pressure.
There's a level of perfectionism that I think when you're doing a sport, there's a level of wanting to do whatever sport you do well, and to do it, and to just really lay down that perfect trip, and have that perfect slow canter for the equitation, and have all the things. But I think it's become more and more pressurized now than it ever was back when I was showing as a junior. There was a lot more room for error. and a lot more grace maybe. And
Yeah.
now these horses are made to be like, they have to be robots.
Yeah.
And that's just, they're animals.
Yeah. And I think that that's like, because I was saying to you before we were, got on the air, that this is a conversation that I think I've had a lot with a lot of different people in a lot of different disciplines, not just the hunter jumper world. Is your nose runny?
I don't know why.
It could be the warm weather that we're finally having.
That or the insects. That's like
Or
blowing up my nose.
Yeah. So I think that and I don't think it's just the equestrian world either. Like, I think that, the level of expectation in all sports has really risen just with the modernization of like civilization. But like, I definitely feel like, and I don't know where you pinpoint like where the pressure is coming from.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that there is a one pinpoint of where necessarily the pressure is coming from, because I think it starts at the top and it trickles down.
I think we do it to each other too. Like,
for sure.
It's like, oh, like I want to be like her, and then social media gets involved, and there's the pictures and the videos and the that like perfect jump, and you're like, okay, I want to be like her, and then the expectation just the bar gets raised higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And then it's just this constant battle against each other.
Yeah.
To create like the perfect look and the perfect behavior, and just, so I think it's kind of multifactorial, but
yeah. And I think too, like realistically, right? So we went down to Wellington and we met some really wonderful people. Yep. And I think something that I found really interesting is that, we met with Lenore Brown, who is the head of sponsorship at Wellington, and listening to her speak was really eye-opening for me, because I think that, she was so open to talking about the reality of the sport and how many people, like what percentage of this population actually gets to perform at this level. Yeah. And so I think that you can't talk about this without also talking about that too, that we're looking on social media and we're looking on, the internet or whatever, and you see these people performing at like the top of the top, right?
Literally. What did she say? The 0.1%?
Yeah. It's like a crazy statistic.
Yeah.
And so I think it's unrealistic for you and I to look at that and look at those people and those people showing and being like, well, that's my expectation, and I don't know if that's even like, I'm just making that up. I don't know if that's real or not, but I feel like there are definitely, like, everybody is striving for that. Maybe that's not the expectation, but people are striving for that. Yeah. Which I always love goals. I think we should always have like, something to work for, whatever. But like at the same time, like you have to be realistic. Yeah. And so it's just interesting. And, again, talking about this topic of drugging, like it's you have to talk about where that pressure is coming from. People like to blame social media a lot.
Well, yeah.
Like social media gets painted as the bad guy all the time. It does.
I mean, you are a social media marketing gal, so I can see how you feel there's a positive side to it, and there absolutely is. But I think like there's a place for it, and then there's a place where it is affecting like the mental health of our
100%.
children and
I agree.
Adults and stuff like that because of like, what is it, like, I don't know, I can't remember the word for it, but where you're like just showing your perfect life, you're not showing like your whole life.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean, I think social media gets a bad rap for sure, but I also think in the wrong hands, anything can get a bad rap, right?
True.
So I think that just like expectations and boundaries and everything that we have in our sport, whether it's parents, whether it's us as adults, we need to set boundaries and expectations around social media. Yeah. And so, and that I'm like such a big advocate for that. But, I think at the end of the day, talking about, us coming up as juniors and young amateurs and how showing looks so different now, this idea of perfectionism is so big, right?
So strong.
So strong. And I don't really know, I guess, you could start, talking about the level of horse that is present in today versus 10 years ago.
Yeah, true.
How breeding has really amped up, and how we're producing animals with more athleticism, more of the look, more power, whatever it is in your discipline that you want is just getting better. Right.
And we've transitioned from, 20 something years ago being heavily thoroughbred based to now not all, but mostly imported warm bloods and Welsh ponies. And the sport has changed based on the animal that we are now competing with, and kind of the standard of animal you need to compete with is at a different level than it used to be. And where showing used to be kind of more like hunt related, like true hunt seat was, letting the horse go at the pace that they go naturally, kind of having a bigger stride, kind of keeping the same rhythm, but having, that bigger, more forward moving stride, and just letting the horse have a personality. Whereas now I feel like the warm bloods, kind of, they're more quote unquote deadheads. You want to see less activity, less energy from the horse. You want to see kind of a constant, slow but good paced, no heavy ear twitching. No, you don't really want to see any personality from the horse as they're going. You just want this like clear picture. And I think that's changed because of the animals that we're using now. And I think that's also changed from judging. So over time, I think judges have started to like something in the warm blood look, or in how that looks as a whole when they're going around with the rider. And I think then that has changed judges. And so when judges start judging for that look, then it changes how we perceive we need to be in the ring to place well.
And I think it's interesting. So again, I just realized I was doing it, but I'm going, and I apologize. I just want you to know that I'm engaged in what you're saying. I'm like locked in.
She's ignoring me.
No.
I'm just kidding.
But I think about this idea of, that exactly what you were saying, everything's like up leveling. The horses are up leveling. You don't want to see, any tail swishing. I mean, you'll get counted off for it.
100%.
Or even a playful lead change. Yeah. Can't happen.
Can't have that. I mean, you're talking to a girl who had weights, like fishing weights, in my horse's fake tail because he swished. Like,
I forgot about that.
Become you don't even want to see a tail swish.
Yeah.
Because it's distracting.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too, and I encourage every single one of you to do this, that go look at trips from like 10 to 15 years ago.
Insanely
different. And how different they are.
Yeah.
I did that recently, and I was like, wow, that is wild.
Yeah.
And I would arguably say the thing that I also, in the jumpers specifically, I know like when I was watching the Olympics in Paris and stuff, they were talking about how much more challenging these courses are, how much bigger. But you look at some of those courses back in the day when they had like velvet helmets with no straps and stuff, and they're jumping these huge fences. Arguably, in my opinion, I don't do that discipline, but it looked equally as intimidating and scary.
True.
They're in these tiny rings that are like, it was wild.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just think the development of the sport has really changed so much. It's just changed what we're having now. But the thing that and this is going to be probably triggering for some people, because obviously horse welfare is huge, right?
Yeah,
like
huge.
Horse welfare we can all use our brains and know that common sense, we are for horse welfare. Yeah. We want to make sure that our horses are, cared for, all of the things, right? But the thing that I really want to talk about, and that I find really interesting, and I'd love to get everybody's opinion on, is how, which we've kind of led up to it, but how, like, talking about pressure, talking about where this pressure is coming from, and looking at horse trainers. So horse trainers usually are the ones that are the bad guys.
Well, yeah, I think they get pinned as the bad guys because, they're managing the care of the horse, both at your show barn, at their home barn, and at the show facilities. Like they're managing the care of your animal.
Yeah.
And, I just think, like, what's our responsibility as an owner?
What's your responsibility as an owner?
Yeah.
And then also, where is this pressure coming from? So I was talking to somebody recently that's really in that space and in that world. And it's interesting because you start really getting into the politics of the sport. And it's not necessarily, these riders or these trainers, they don't have as much of a say as you think that they do, and maybe not all of them, I don't know, in this particular instance, but a lot of these horses are owned by one person or like a family or, an investor or, whatever, right? So, and you could say this across the board for any business, any large scale, investing type of situation. So, and businesses want to make money. Like they want to win and they want to make money.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, coming from the top. And are these owners and buyers, are they pushing,
I think it's circular, right?
Yeah.
Like it's what came first, the chicken or the egg,
right.
It's like these trainers have, and I'm not condoning drugging your horse for
we
performance.
know this, guys, like, come on.
Yeah, but I think it is like because of where we are in the sport today and how competitive it is and the 0.1% that's like out there doing it to be at the very top level, I think that it's just a circular kind of negative feedback loop where it's like, I'm spending millions of dollars on my horse and I expect performance, I expect to win, and then the judges are looking for, what they want and their expectations are up here too, and then the owners are like, okay, well, I'm spending this money, I want to meet the judges' expectations, I want to win, and the trainers, like, they have a job and they have to make money. So they're like, okay, well, like now they're feeling the pressure of not only the sport itself, but also their clients, these corporations that own these nice horses, to perform and to perform at a level that not only continues to make the client happy, but also that continues to grow their own image
100%
in the equestrian
and
world.
maintain that image. And I think that that's so hard. And I've talked about this before, talking about when we shot the docuseries and, when I was standing at the end gate with some of these really high pressure moments that, you think about that and you think about, I think about myself going and like doing a public speaking or like going and like expecting somebody's paying you to perform.
Yeah.
And you could think of that as a photographer, someone's paying you to shoot their wedding, shoot their portraits, like whatever. It can go across like multiple
high pressure
situations, doctors, whatever. And I was just thinking about it and I'm like, man, like, I think you definitely do get numb to that. You get numb to that pressure, but that was one of the questions that I asked every single professional that we followed, like, how do you handle that? Like, how do you deal with that? And I think that some of them, everyone's different, but I think some of them have like a much better like way. I mean, you think about even Hannah, our trainer, whether you're showing at your local level, at Devon, at WEC, at WEF, whatever, these are all still like, I'm still paying Hannah to go in.
Yeah,
and like,
you're still paying your professional to help you and get you that blue ribbon, whether it's at the top level or at the lowest level. Like everybody wants to, I don't want to say everybody wants to win, but everyone wants to see a good outcome from the work that they've put into
100%.
And, there's pressure.
Yeah. And I think as two things to kind of talk about that is that amateurs always get a bad rap about the money part, right? Yeah. Amateurs always get a bad rap about that because we are, are we part of the problem, right? Like these professionals are,
they're under pressure because we're like,
because we are like,
I'm spending so much money.
Right. And it's all relative, right? So we were just talking about like these large scale investors.
Yeah.
They're, it's the same type of situation. Yeah. And so, I think that, again, this is no resolution. This is just things that we are bringing up, that we're pointing out. And I think it's a conversation that's worth having and really for people to think about it and applying pressure to trainers. And I've heard so many trainers talk about this, from their perspective. Yeah. And I find that really interesting. And I always am here to hear them out and hear, their perspective because I find it interesting. But I think at the end of the day, communication is obviously key, but the more money in life in general that you are dealing with, the higher pressure, the higher the stakes. When you're going and paying $35 for a class and, you're paying your professional and they miss a lead change, obviously much lower stakes, right? Yeah. But, if you're competing at Devon and you miss a lead change or
you have a late lead
or you
change,
have
or
a
you
late
play
lead change,
after the
or
jump.
whatever happens, you're at risk of losing your job,
Yeah.
because there's somebody behind you waiting to get that ride.
Yeah.
So, I think that is, as much as we want to talk about relatability, authenticity, and realism in the sport, that's the reality. And I think that's it is what it is.
Some people deal with it well, and then some people
don't
deal with it in the wrong way. And I think that's where we see
the drugging.
Yeah, we see the drugging. And I think something I saw on the podcast Amateur Lounge on Facebook was someone saying, what's the responsibility of an owner when you're faced with kind of discomfort? And it was an amateur saying, I have this horse, he's really nice, I suspect that they're drugging him for me to be able to ride him and show and win. And what's my responsibility? And everyone was like, it is your responsibility as an owner ultimately to be the leader of that horse. No, you're not feeding him every day. You're not there changing his hay out, cleaning his stall, putting meds in his food. But it's your responsibility. See something, say something.
100%.
And ultimately these horses, they don't know what a good round is, what a bad round is. They're truly just...
Yeah.
think about what we asked them to do. And
I
then
know.
we're asking them to just have no personality while they do it and cart us amateurs around who sometimes don't know what we're doing. We make mistakes. I saw, some of the amateurs riding at WEF and they make mistakes just like I do.
Yeah.
And their horses are nicer and, they're showing at that top level, but the mistakes are the same. And these horses are expected to take a joke over and over and over again. And I think that's where we see the drugging come in, and they can't have a personality. They can't get offended by you missing. They can't, all this stuff. But it's sad that the sport is where it's at to make it that way.
Yeah. And I also find it really interesting too, because two things. I feel like I find it really interesting, what amateurs have that expectation that they're, I have never met one. I can tell you that. I've never met one that has the expectation that I'm going to get on my horse and it's not going to play. It's going to be perfect for me and I'm going to get a perfect round.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I am not in that circle,
Yeah, we're not riding at that top level.
Absolutely. So, and that's totally fine. But the other thing is that, and I'm sure the trainers are going to blow up and be like, oh, you should meet my clients or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're out there.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. And I just find it really fascinating that the trainers are so competitive, wherever the pressure's coming from. Whether it's coming from the amateurs, whether it's coming from the investors, their trainers, wherever it's coming from, that they are willing to risk this sport in and of itself is inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
That they are willing to risk everything for that win.
That is crazy to think about. I didn't even think about that. They're risking the life of the human, the life of the horse, their reputation if it gets uncovered.
Yep.
Is it worth it?
Is it really worth it?
I would love to ask.
Oh,
is it worth it?
But who would you ask? That's
no
the
one's
thing.
Gonna say I drug my horse or I drug my client's horses, so I get a win out of it. But it's I do want to know, is it worth the risk? And maybe it is, for millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're getting from their clients, it is worth it. I don't know, but one wrong dose, one wrong trip, but the horse is too drugged to catch itself, and the client falls off, the horse falls down, breaks a leg, etc. There are so many what ifs that you could go down.
What ifs.
And horses are dangerous on their own.
Right.
They can have a rotational fall on their own. They don't need any help from drugs to dull their senses.
Right.
And we're oh, here's some euthanasia drug.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's what I think is so fascinating, and that's really kind of what got me down the rabbit hole of talking about where that pressure is coming from. That you are literally willing to risk everything And
It's
you're
insane.
just on a hope and a prayer that nothing bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's going to catch up to you eventually. Like
Yeah, it
either
will.
like either something terrible is going to happen or you're going to get caught. And, you know, maybe people will agree with that. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But it just find it really unbelievable. The amount of risk that is involved with that.
Yeah.
It's just like, is it worth it? Like to like have your amateur go in and like,
Die.
to die and then like get a blue ribbon instead of a yellow ribbon. Like,
Yeah.
is it really worth it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And for the amateurs out there, like, this is going to be tough to say or to hear, but like for the amateurs out there, like, is it that deep?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're putting our body on like a horse.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it is not that deep,
Yeah.
you guys. Like,
I mean,
it's just a horse.
Just to quote our girl Amanda Steege, who said in the first season, "We're just jumping furry animals over fuzzy sticks or colorful sticks."
Yeah.
Like, we're not curing cancer.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything that
No.
serious. Like, it's just not that deep. So like, and
not
again,
deep enough. It's deep, but it's not deep enough to risk your life, the horse's life, for a blue ribbon. It's a fucking ribbon that you pay for.
Yeah. And
Sorry,
like,
I don't think I'm allowed to cuss on here.
you can. I cuss all the time. And I really, now that sound is like that. I also do cuss a little. That sound is like popping in my head. But yeah, I just find it like that's really what, obviously, like the drugging, and it's just like so unbelievable to me. And if I found out that my horse was being drugged, I think I would just, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I would absolutely blow a
Oh,
casket.
you would not be well.
It would be awful.
Yeah.
So like, I can imagine these owners finding out, or these, you know, these amateurs finding out and just absolutely losing their mind because you know.
But then there's fear of saying something and getting kicked out, or,
Yeah.
you know, like having the story turned around on them. And there are multiple reasons I think that amateurs like know and like get trapped
100%.
and like they feel like they can't say anything, or
Absolutely.
you know, for whatever reason or another, they're stuck.
Yeah. And that's
but-
you know, again, talking about just that toxic culture in general. But yeah, I mean, it's really, and I think, again, you get into more money. The more money you're dealing with, the higher the pressure, the higher the stakes, the more politics, all the things.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to say, I'm thankful I'm in my little local world, and I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, sorry to interrupt,
No.
but I think there's another thing, like with drugging the horses, is you'll have these horses that are wildly talented and they have a quirk.
Yeah.
Right? And a drug will fix the quirk
Mm-hmm.
and you can show and you can win, but those horses aren't marketable in reality at an A show market.
Right.
So then you see these horses that are kind of quirky or whatever, and then they get sold to the local market to people who will show at locals, and they're like, okay, well, he's just gonna go do the locals because you can drug him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something wrong with that too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I think there's something wrong with the local community being like, oh, it's a local, like, you can drug them. I really think the standards should be the same across the board.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, you know, and I think too, talking about amateurs and just riding in general, I mean, I think the fact that like drugging your horse is like on the table for being an option is absolutely insane.
Yeah. It's not the right horse.
It's
if
not
you're
the
having
right
to drug
horse.
it.
And like, amateurs just need to ride better. Coming from an amateur,
Okay.
I know, that's what I'm about to say. Coming from somebody that I know I need to ride better.
Yeah.
I know that I need to build confidence. And so therefore, I'm not going to drug my horse because I need to build confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm either going to sell the horse or I'm going to take lessons on something that I know can build my confidence for however long until I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think you just have to be really honest with yourself, and like, which is way easier said than done.
Yeah.
I mean, I I've had my fair share of many, many meltdowns about my confidence issues. And it's actually unbelievable to me that they even exist, because talking to myself 20 years ago, 15 years ago, would be like, what the fuck? Like, you're such a little bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I definitely think it's just, you just have to be super real with yourself. And that's not easy to do. It's very difficult. You're very emotional. You love your horses. And if you're overhorsed, that's just a really tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, you love them.
You love them.
But if it's drugging your horse or being overhorsed and it not being right, like it's time to maybe like think about moving on and getting a different horse rather
100%.
than going to drugging it for an answer. And also, I just want to say that like this is for adult amateurs only, not juniors who are competing in their last junior years and have to be perfect or whatever. But adults make a lot of mistakes. We're not professionals.
No.
We are not juniors. We have fear. We have the oh shit moments where we pull to a jump because we don't see a distance.
Mm-hmm.
We miss. And the horses should be allowed to be annoyed with us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it should be an even playing field.
100%.
Like if you watch a professional class and then you watch an amateur class, the amateur class will have far more mistakes on their animals. And like, can we just normalize that?
Well, and I think it's
like,
interesting.
That's normal.
Well, and you tell me if you had this experience going to WEF. You know, I have gone to WEC a lot, WEC Ocala.
Yeah.
And so I've had the opportunity to see a lot of rounds from a lot of amateurs. And I think if you haven't, I think that, knowledge is power always. And I think that if in your mind, if you're at home and you're on social media and you're showing at your locals, or maybe you're not showing at all, you have this idea and this perception that everybody at that level is just perfect round after perfect round after perfect round.
You do think that.
You do think that, right? And then you get down there, or you get to wherever, you get to these, top level Devon, Desert Horse Park, Traverse, like wherever. And then you start seeing
amateurs
what's really
being amateurs.
happening. And you're like, oh shit, guys, like
they still miss.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Like, so, and again, that's why I wanted to do the show, that's why I was so passionate about doing the show, because I was like, y'all just need to see this. Like, y'all need to see that, like, everybody's having these like super high highs, these low lows, these mistakes, these chips, these oh shit moments. Like everyone's doing that, like at every level. So like, chill. Like, it's not
that's what I'm
deep.
saying. Like, we need to even the playing field at locals, at A shows. Like, there needs to be regulation for drugging. There needs to be accountability, and everybody needs to just ride at their level and like be okay with mistakes. It doesn't like perfectionism. I have OCD, guys. Yeah. I have perfectionism. It is not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not.
And I think I wonder, like, talking about the accountability, and I just don't know enough about this. Like, I don't know about like the top, people of our sport, meaning like, Youssef and like all the executives and board members and all those types of things. It is amazing to me, and it's amazing to me that, there isn't more regulation, that there isn't more random testing, that there isn't more, like, why is that?
I think we're getting to a place where it's starting to get better and better. We're starting to do hair testing instead of blood testing and urine testing. I think we're getting there. But I think it's slow.
Yeah.
And I think people every year you can read the USEF rules, and every year there's more and more substances that are considered not fair and, should not be used during the season or ever, but really during the show season. And so I think the regulations are getting better and better, but I still think there's a lack of accountability where you'll see, and this is something I've read kind of on a lot of forums and Facebook groups of adult amateurs, is like, trainers are now starting to get in trouble, and they always have, but like you're starting to hear more about
it.
Yeah, you're starting to hear more about like these trainers getting in trouble, but they're not getting in trouble for long. So they're short-term suspensions. the trainers are then going and they're sending their assistants out to still go and make money at the shows, and their barn is still going, or they'll take their clients and they'll change barn names and they'll show under a different barn name, or they'll train under a different name. And so you start to see like these back doors that people are going through to still be able to go to the shows and still be able to kind of get around their kind of suspension.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how great we are at catching that.
Well, I think it's like all of it. Like for me, it's like, you know, I've been to enough horse shows, even local ones.
Yeah.
Never has anyone approached us to say, hey, we're here with so-and-so and we're here to, we're here to drug test.
Locals aren't going to do it.
But regardless, like local, I don't know what it's like. I've never shown at a rated show. I've never shown anywhere. Like I showed at Aiken, I think. And that was, that was it. But and maybe that is happening. Maybe there are people that are walking around a part of like whatever group and they randomly test.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how these people are getting busted. I don't know.
Especially when if you have a lot of winning rounds, that those are kind of flagged as like, okay, this horse has consistently had winning rounds. They kind of go towards the horses that are winning.
Yeah.
And then they will do random, but I think that's kind of how it works in the rated communities and kind of how the rated show works. But I still think there's people too that like turn a blind eye. Like
100%.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's interesting. You think about like getting pulled over, like if you get caught speeding 3 times, like you're at risk of getting your license completely taken away.
Yeah.
And so getting pulled over once gives you that like, oh shit, like I'm going to stop.
I need to change my behavior.
Yeah. I need to not speed.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like it's obvious, and I know so many people have talked about this, and Piper is such a great person to talk to. We need to have her on the show and talk about this too. But I just like the top of our sport, the people who are running the sport have got to they have to put better restrictions on it.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna get banned or what, if you're gonna get
suspended or whatever,
slap on the wrist or suspended or whatever, like make it real.
Yeah,
like,
make it hurt.
Count.
Make it hurt.
Yeah, like these people are risking their clients' lives, the horses' lives, like
for a win.
For a win,
it's insane.
It's just absolutely crazy.
It's insane,
and it's just not worth it. Like, would you go and I mean, in any other sport,
it's like driving drunk.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that you're getting in the car and you know you're unwell.
Yeah.
You are unwell.
Yes.
Okay? Like you're not going to get on your horse drunk.
Yeah.
Why you're not going to get on your horse drunk or drugged because God forbid you mess up and the horse has to suffer for it.
Right.
You wouldn't want the same thing for your horse in return.
100%.
You're not going to oh yeah, I can't wait to ride this horse that's like half of its brain right now because it's drugged. And I think the worst thing is that sometimes people don't know they're riding they're a drugged horse.
Right.
They're getting drugged and they don't know it.
I know.
And then they're really at risk.
So scary.
Yeah.
Well, those are our thoughts, guys.
Yeah, it was a deep episode.
Deep combo. And, again, I'm sure this is going to be an episode that gets relatively a lot of traction because it is such a hot button topic. And I hope we continue the conversation, because the more we talk about it, the more accountable that we can hold, everybody, and not only everyone in the sport, but the people that are running the sport.
Yeah.
So
my final thought is, if you're an amateur and you're making mistakes and your horse is telling you you're making a mistake, I am proud of your horse and I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Because amateurs are supposed to make mistakes. We are not professionals. We are not supposed to look perfect.
Yeah, and even professionals make mistakes.
Yeah, like it's okay to not have that perfect round. You're out there. That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Don't drug your horse.
Don't drug your horse. You guys let us know what you think. Be sure to share this with a friend and give us your thoughts. We want to hear. We want to hear what you guys think about this and how we can change the community and better it. So that's what we're here for.
All right.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.